All right, good morning, you guys. I am just going to go over the S&P really quick. So if you follow along with my videos, you would have saw that I did have these zones marked, and I said that we're just kind of range bound. So when we kind of rotate up into the top of that range, we just, you see where I had mentioned playing the range and how if you're taking trades out of the middle of the range, like let's say you're trying to go long in the middle of the range, well, we could go all the way down. If you're trying to go short from the middle of the range, well, we still have all the way up to go. So I'm gonna just turn on the, let's turn on the overnight session really quick with this. I can't, sorry. So looking at this, you can see that we did open in this upper area right here, and then we did just sell off. So there was a little bit of liquidations, which is to be expected, right? I think I had mentioned that I'm looking at this level right here, the 790s to hold. Otherwise, we're going to get a liquidation, and that's exactly what happened. We sold off basically right down into that bottom of that range, and then we have a little bit of buying come in, but that bottom doesn't look finished. I would have felt better if I saw us rotate down into this like actual bottom of this range around 67.40s or so. So we kind of front ran that about 7 handles. So going over this, today is FOMC. So just keep that in mind. I'm gonna turn my studies off really quick. It's easier to see. It's a little bit bigger. So you can see we open and we do just kind of trade into this extension series, it looks like, right here. It goes all the way down to targets. We hit this 50% retracement from a higher time frame series, and then we just kind of consolidate around that. So a lot of the times you're not going to see this rip down and then just like rip all the way back up unless we have really strong demand come in, which I don't think we necessarily did. You can check. So you see here, as we start to sell off, the acceleration kind of starts down here. Just adjust that. So as we start to sell off, you can see that this acceleration actually starts down here. And as we come down into this, we don't really see as much participation come in. So we are just kind of balancing and auctioning back and forth near these levels. And now if I turn on the extended hour session, you can see that we did start to rally out of this. I did take a trade here in the overnight session, but we test that twice. We come up here and failed to break above that profit target. So I'm going to leave this on for now and see if this 759s tests in the regular trading hours, or if we're gonna kind of come in for a deeper retracement. This is kind of where we're at right now. Remove these ones that have failed. So this one has failed too. So you can see that we are still holding this. And as long as we kind of maintain above this 725s, this series is still valid. And I'm just looking at this next traditional off of that high. I did trade at this 774s. That's kind of what I'm looking at. That target's below at 730s. So we can hit this target out of this traditional off of that high with this higher time frame sequence still being valid. So it's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm not really sure what to expect because, as you know, today is FOMC meeting minutes, but FOMC is kind of based off of the labor market, and as you guys know, the government shut down, so we haven't had our newsprints. So it kind of creates this uncertainty. Like, I don't really know what to expect just because we didn't have those newsprints. Like, we didn't have NFP last week, so I'm not really sure what they're gonna do. I wouldn't be shocked if it just holds steady because there's no economic data, but then we also have no idea how long the government's going to be shut down. Last time it was shut down for 35 days. So then it creates this situation where if they don't cut, what if, and we don't have newsprints for about a month, and then the newsprints come out and they were really bad, then it just creates all this who knows situation. Are they going to base their decision off of our previous data, which wasn't good? I really don't know. This is above my pay grade. I would seek out advice from, people that have actual like decades of market experience, not somebody like me. Because I'll be the first to admit, like, I understand the implications, but I don't really know how that affects things. So I usually lean on people that I know that have been trading markets for multiple decades, like real traders that have traded like institutionally. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just kind of taking it easy. If I see a couple trades, like I took a trade in the overnight session off of this low here that traded to my target. I just set some limits because this is a 50% coming out of this. So I just kind of set some limits and split some micros for a good DCA, and then I just kind of like took it off near this profit target. So that's kind of how I will trade the overnight session. I'll DCA in, and then I'll just split some profit targets here just in case. You see, we did come down and retest that and go to target. So the first test didn't go to target, the second test went to target. Running into sellers as we approach this 774. It's like a little bit of a divergence high right there. So I would expect that, let me turn my studies back on. So this sequence for me becomes invalid above 790s. So I'm looking for a break above this 780s and 790s. A break above 790 is going to invalidate that sequence, and then we will retest this high for overhead supply. That's kind of what I'm looking at going into today. I am just going to do the S&P for today just for simplicity and so that this video isn't super long. So anyways, hopefully you guys trade safe and have a good day. I'll talk to you later.